Good morning, everyone. Have we got Red Funnel in today?
No, he's not. I had an email he couldn't make today. So.
Okay, I'm just going to say, because obviously he's one of our customers already, so I wanted to make a point of just saying good morning. Maurice, I'm going to say, hopefully this will work quite well with what you've said. We've never met before, but it couldn't have been a good kick-off, so thanks for that, and Jonathan, thanks to you as well. BizView is a reasonably new company. It's a new company, but a very old product. I'll explain. We do a lot of orchestration and integration through digital and social networks. So we're working with some quite big brands.
It's the right hand one.
We're working with some quite big brands, and actually some of them they've gone forward to go and now gone back. Because they went forward, we're working with people like TfL because they had to. Because things like the Olympics, people wanted this big customer experience. They wanted to be proactive. They wanted to be seen to answering lots of things. They did that. They did it for a period of time, and actually, as a commuter, I think it was actually very well delivered. They've gone back because it was seen as a cost. It was seen as a cost, and now they've come back and they haven't got the same level of investment. They spent lots of money taking some of that technology out, which is probably not the greatest thing to do, but it's something they've done. What we saw, and we were called in because we did a lot of work for TfL at the time. We were asked to come in to have a discussion about how we could get that single view of customers when they're complaining about a service. How can we achieve and pull different channels all the way through to one contact centre? So we started creating a proof of concept. We delivered that proof of concept, blah, blah, blah. What we did find when we started doing this was a number of other brands involved. They wanted to do the same thing. So that proof of concept turned very quickly, not just into a proof of concept and experiment, it's turned into something real. So when I talk about digital and customer channels and social, we think, because we've got evidence, factual evidence, it's now what people want to do. Likewise, I think you showed some stats, Jonathan, about different percentages of how people connect. If you've got that single view and that connection, I think you will see those percentages change. Now, web chat is a big take on web chat. We do a lot with web chat. We link with WhatsApp and all the rest of it. But we are seeing, because customers are getting frustrated, they can't get through some of these channels, they're having to go back to some of the older forms and the old ways of getting in front. And then they're using some of the newer channels just to blurt stuff out and make a point. So we are seeing everything now. Everything needs to be information enabled. Everything needs to be connected. Ecosystems, digital ecosystems, digital enablement. We're seeing businesses now, we're working with some tier 1 banks and things like this. How do they start opening up data that they have in the most simplistic way with customers? We're currently working with one of these. We were lucky enough to be given some stuff by Apple, the early doors, to try and create some new digital experiences on how customers can engage. And that could be anything from a bank transfer record that you could smartly put together and understand if I make a bank transaction over £50, I want to know about it, so I want to check it off, and I want to be able to alert them straight away. We've got this new concept called contact centre buttons, which is allowing a consumer to immediately contact via any channel it wants and through an app device into any customer it wants that was connected to our platform. So we are seeing everything now changing, and very, very quickly. Where did we start? We've got a number of products and services around monitoring, and we track, we alert, we structure. We have this thing called technical enforcement of the business process. Any interaction, doesn't matter if it's an SMS, a tweet, we date stamp that, we time stamp that, and we start the process running from a customer experience point of view. How quickly are you returning them? We can link it with your competitors or like organisations, so you can start seeing how you're performing to your peers. Does there need to be a paradigm shift in customer experience? So some real life things that are happening, and we'll be able to show you some of that now. We obviously work very, very closely with Mitel. We're a global Mitel technology partner, and we've got many customers together where we listen to all that stuff in a digital ecosystem, whether it be tweets, Facebook, FIFO, WhatsApp, and we pass all that through. Again, we've embedded our technology because we think people, to start with, it definitely want to they've already invested in contact centres, they need to start sweating those, and we see ourselves as that broker of information that can pass it through into the contact centre. And obviously we're here with our partners today. Just a few, it's not an exhaustive list of our clients. You'll see some big brands there that are definitely trying to change how they operate. In certain different, they're using a model offers approach, for example, at Thames Water, where we're doing their business B2B customers first, and they'll see if they're successful, they'll roll it out to their domestic customers. So already they've got a BizView solution that allows them to see when a customer phones through to their billing system and also to their customer contact system. So they're starting to add these different things on. They've got social, they've got digital, already plumbed into that. So they can start seeing history of how they're operating with their business customers and their high value, HVCs, high value customers, lots of different terms they use. We currently are, I think this is slightly off from these figures, we're orchestrating billions of tweets a year. We had to do a campaign for who's the boy band that's broken up? One Direction. It lost me. And when they're in concert, 10,000 tweets a minute. Why? Don't ask me. But they're the sort of connections that certain brands want to make so they can actually start engaging. It's not just about the inbound, it's also about outbound. We're seeing some real advantages on how you can connect and blend different brands together. We're supporting many real-time users. Obviously what we're trying to do is make sure that all this data can be passed through and can be used on the Mitel desktop, so you have one place, one set of agents that can respond to all those different communications. I'm not going to spend too long on this, just because I want to spend some more time on real software. I think all the slides are going to be made available, Jonathan. And this is probably touching on some of the stuff that Maurice has more eloquently described already. So if you don't mind, I'll pass over some of these. I think there's a couple of things here I would like to say. There is a huge uptake in technology from consumers. It's huge. I mean, if you think about 500 million connected devices in 2005, there's reports of sort of 12 to 15 million now as we speak, and they reckon that 50 million within 20 billion. 50 billion, yeah, 50 billion, sorry, 50 billion by 2025. So, the exponential approach is happening with consumers. They're using these connected devices to shout, to connect, to buy, all these different experiences, and just having one digital experience isn't going to be enough for retailers moving forward. We think it's going to have to be across all those different channels and a lot of those bits of process. We're seeing a shift away from value chains to ecosystems, these real-time ecosystems. If people want to buy a watch, and they want to be able to buy that watch and receive that watch tomorrow, they might even pay more for it if they can receive that watch tomorrow. But it's linking things, and it's making sure you understand what your customer wants. Again, expect disruption, continuous disruption, and I think the organisations that are best fitted to manage that disruption and build flexible business and technical architectures will do well. The same reason that you have exponential companies like Twitter, Facebook, and all the rest of it happening, I think almost need to be as agile as that yourselves. You need to be asking, we don't go into as much detail as much, but we do come up with sort of two questions. Are we doing the right things? Are we doing the right things well? And I think, started to move those things forward inside. Can I just have a poll on business IT people here? IT, hands up. The others are obviously business, aren't they? So I don't have to ask the other question. So So, you know, I think you'll see from this sort of word cloud, there's lots of different things going on, Facebook, and there's different communication language. There's I don't know if anybody heard of LiPo here? Laugh your pants off. Now, is something that my 11-year-old told me about, and obviously we connect to some of the younger focused networks as well. There is a different, you know, whether it be texting or not, there's a different communication language. So it's understanding some of those and how you manage some of that language and communication in your technology. So we've got BizView actually understands content and context, and it allows you to send different communications to different teams within your organisation to try and get away from some of that siloed approach. A possible solution. All I've got here is a high-level sort of architecture, if you like, that shows inbound and outbound customer information. It shows how you can connect. We've got 100+ connections now to all sorts of things, from Trusted Pilot to FIFO to, you know, all the normal big social networks. LinkedIn. We did is AWE in today? So we did I was going to get them to speak about that. We did a quick proof of concept for the Atomic Weapons Establishment, so they could actually, one of their problems wasn't just social networks with consumers, it was inbound. They were employees in and outbound. So they had employees saying things on certain networks like LinkedIn that they didn't want to know. We've spoken with Shell as well, because they want to start looking at social networks, because they feel they've got a responsibility for contractors and employees in particular areas and regions in the world where, you know, if there is unrest, they should be able to update what's going on and actually use that as just one facet about pulling people out if they need to. So we've got all these links into all these different networks. We start looking at pulling this together for great customer knowledge and customer insight, and then looking at the engagement. Now, I've shown loads of mobile devices there. You know, I guess that 50 billion probably didn't take account of an extra billion probably from these guys over the next 10 years. So, you know, there is more than, we're also seeing a resurgence in desktop technology and how people actually can link through desktops in many different ways. Okay, so again, I won't go through some of this. Is, you know, obviously we capture requirements very quickly. What could we do? What should we do? What will we do? So, for example, with Transport for London, we just put a package of work together for them. So we can link Oyster with social. So then, if you went to a gate and you offered your Oyster card or the app, where there was a connection, we could build that connection. So all of a sudden, these new screens that might be put in the underground stations might see from your profile that you were jogging on the South Bank, and all of a sudden there might be a nice advert in front of you from Nike. The art of the possible is there, whether they do these things, but actually the technologies are there to start doing proactive as well as reactive discussions, topics. I'm going to show some of this, so I won't go too much into this. We also do some reward stuff for agents through MyTalk. It can happen through any contact centre, so you can actually start awarding points and gamification, that sort of thing, if you so wanted to do. So basically what we're saying is we're an integration hub that allows information to be pulled through into the customer contact centre. This is a bit more of a detailed one. With time in mind, Jonathan, I'll probably skip this and happy to go through this. You know, we've already got clients that has actually taken it from enterprise systems, billing systems, contact systems, and given that one single view, given that technical enforcement, given workflow, analytics, and so forth. So, and all can be fed back to a mobile. We use email in lots of ways to convert things into email, so you can receive it on your phone, for example. You can get a tweet. You can receive a tweet inside an email that you can respond to inside an email that goes back to where it came from without actually going into the micro contact center, if that's what you want to do as well. So some quite smart stuff. I'm going to go to a demo. I need a is there a network? And David, start with a little bit of a disclaimer here. I have no control of what data might pop up on some of these tweets. Obviously, it's live data, it's open data, it's public data. So if, whether it be cross-country or TfL, who are very comfortable with me showing and demoing this, they're good references. We have had occasions where some of the very worst possible words have popped up on screen in a very big way. So it's nothing to do with me, okay? So I think it's worth just a couple of concepts here. As I alluded to before, this connects with anything digital. There's nothing yet that we've found that we can't connect to. So for example, this is cross-country trains, Grand Central trains, and so forth. They're connected to things like TripAdvisor, Twitter, Facebook, and so forth. So we'll show you some of that. Likewise, this can handle, we've got YouTube connected, so it can handle video, it can handle voice. The only thing we're struggling with because of a recent change was Skype. Skype had just made some changes, so it's made it slightly difficult for us, so we're seeing how we do that. But we've got WhatsApp and all that sort of stuff. Vodafone across Africa are using it for different things like that. It's funny actually, as a territory and a region, they're very, very embedded with Twitter and social networks across Africa. It's quite remarkable, the take-up and how quickly they're using this in their customer contact centres. Okay, so the two concepts are apps. We have these apps, I still call them views really, but apps, you can create a different view on the same data. So this just so happens how Arriva do it, and Deutsche Bahn, they have a number of different apps. This is just particular login for Grand Central trains and cross country. Okay, so this is just how they do it and how they can respond back from multiple brands, so I'll go into that. Some organisations we work with under apps will have PR, customer operations, customer marketing, all sorts of things, resilience, all sorts of things, because they might want to see some of this data in a different way, because it can be from enterprise systems, internal to you, as well as external systems. So we'll go into that a little bit as well. So apps is the first thing. In each app, you have widgets. Now these widgets are quite smart. It looks like just a little box of data, but actually these are really quite smart, these widgets. They can hold any type of, they can hold other computer programs, for example. They can hold graphs, all sorts of different things. They have stored procedures within them, so it allows you to do some quite smart workflow and allows you to do some pretty smart orchestration of different things. So hopefully I'll be able to show you some of that as well. Now, but from a social networks point of view, you'll see here there's loads and loads of different tweets coming in. And you can see these tweets, and you can, for example, if I look at this one, which is mentions within this widget, you can see the same data in different graphs. So this graph, slightly abysmal, is number of tweets per day for that particular topic of mentions. It could be, where's that one? It's really bad.
Number of tweets posted in different hours.
It's a lot smaller on here, you see, it is on there. Apple have shrunk it to not the normal size of the screen. So again, yes, so thank you for that. Number of tweets posted in different hours of the day. So you can start linking this with some of your contact centre. We've also got some alerts in here. For example, we did yesterday, we tested it with a big brand. They knew the rest of their day was going to be reasonably sparse with customer contacts because it was sunny. And we put a load of metrics in and we tested this, and it was absolutely bang on. So some of those customer agents were actually redeployed to doing slightly different activities, whether it be training or whatever. So actually you can use some of these things quite smartly for your own business. Again, so these widgets are quite smart and they can hold any types of data. Now, you can go into these widgets, you can, if you know how to work it, Alex, you can look at a tweet. You can start doing a number of different things. Now, you can retweet, you can reply, you can add notes, you can add lists, you can report a spam, you can create some complex lists of the particular people that have been contacting across many channels. Then you add them to a list that is a multi-channel list, so you can say, okay, we now know this guy has contacted us 5 different occasions. Really, we need to reassign this guy at high priority, and we can do it based upon their clout, how long they've been waiting, how many times they've been interacting, all these things that actually customers probably want. If you've had a customer that is the last, that he's got to the last point where he's now, broadcasting on a social network, it's probably because he's not had any joy elsewhere. Not always, but probably. So there's a number of things we can help with there. We can also start, everything we do is geocoded. So you can start looking at things from a map. The only things I've got turned on here are where the tweet was sent from, what the tweet was about. So it might be about, especially for operators, it might be about a specific location. Likewise, a lot of asset companies like water companies, they get tweets about leaks, tweet a leak I think there is now, and all sorts of things. So we start mapping that. They can draw a boundary around those tweets and Facebook posts, and then they can actually use that as an operational incident that starts off other business processes within their organisations. So these you can do a lot just from a very simple widget. You can obviously look at it from a time perspective and add as many different time controls as you would like to do. You can email all those tweets to a person or a group to deal with. You can share it on different word clouds. We did quite a cool thing during the football World Cup. It was the shape of Pele's head and his nose and mouth with all the different things that were coming up. And it was quite funny, his eyebrows were the two teams that got into the final. So it was quite amusing and people quite liked it. But we can start linking this, and you can share this yourselves and decide how you want to see topics that are going through your contact centre. So this is about the content and the context, what's happening. And this doesn't have to, this is obviously, this engine looks over email, it looks over SMS, it looks over Twitter, Facebook. So it's all of your different, we can turn that, and so you can start looking at those controls. Likewise, again, you can start doing some things directly on here. You can assign sentiment. Let me just see, let me get an appropriate one up. Aha. So on each of these actual tweets, you can, if you want, switch on the thread and the stream. So up here you'll see what they were saying and then how you responded. Now, obviously, if that was multi-channel, you would see all the different responses there. So any advice that goes in, this is obviously passed through to the contact centre as well within Nicoll or whatever you're using. So again, you can see what's happened before. So when your response can be appropriate to what's going on. Also in there, obviously, you've got sentiment. You can choose auto assign based on that content again, or you can change that and manually put that in. And you can obviously, see what's been responded to and what hasn't. You can start looking at the user, his profile, history, and so forth. So you can actually say, okay, well, this person's a long-term tweeter of whatever they're moaning or not moaning about, or praising us on. So you can actually start looking at and valuing your customers again on what they're doing with you. As concepts, that anybody any questions? So I can wrap it and quite quickly on this. So if any questions, please just dive in. Again, any of these reports?
One.
Go for it.
Sentiment there.
Yeah.
Across all inputs?
Can do, yes.
That's it.
No, yeah, no, fine. So, so if I actually, let's see. So sentiment for Transport for London. This is something we actually just released last week. So this is across channels, but for different lines. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, for example, if I was to then go in, I can't do in the future, can I? That would be really good. Right, so
We've got a plugin that can do that.
Okay, so if I just chose a working week, or it's not working week, it's over Saturday, let's apply that, you'll see, oh, it's gone down. So negative sentiment's gone down, it was 4% for the overall week. So quite quickly you can start looking at trends of what you wanted to do. Now obviously all these different things I drill in, so you can actually go in and see why that sentiment was negative, and you can choose to do lots of different things about that. You can add it to a list, again show it on a map, blah blah blah, and you can try and resolve some of those issues.
Sorry, and just one other question, if I may.
Go for it.
Apologies, everyone. I can add rules.
Yes.
So, the number of opportunities for people to praise an organisation is significantly less than the number of opportunities to complain. It's just the way it is, mathematically.
Yep.
If I've got those numbers and I understand them, I can build that into my sentiment piece. I can add some maths and science to that.
Thank you. So,
does it automatically work out what the actual sentiment is? I mean, is there some rules kind of looking at the language to kind of say this is positive or negative, or do you have to add individually assign sentiment to every single potential interaction?
You can do both. So if you go in to the sentiment data bank, there are standard data banks. You can add your own data bank, but you can also add context, and then you can add some rules directly to the widget for that. Again, it doesn't have to just be. We have profanity as well, so you could start looking at. If you didn't want certain tweets or interactions going all the way through to your contact center, because some contact agents might not like some of the things that are happening, you can stop that as well, and that can go to a different set of people, team leaders or whatever. So you can do that.
Does it do it across them all, or per person? Because you could have one person who's slaughtering you that day.
You can define it as you want. Yeah. So let me show you. It's a good point. So if I go back to these widgets and I edit that, you'll see in here there's a number of different items that you can start add. So you can add algorithms and business rules inside each widget, and it might be some simple stuff like filters for language or territory or region, but it could also be carving up customer user groups or people that responded to you more than 5 times, whatever you're wanting to do. So you can then change those settings. You can assign tasks and say, okay, anybody who does certain things in here, assign that task to this person only, and they'll replicate that through and mirror that inside Nicoll. Likewise, let me find something else. Okay.
You can presumably refine this over time as well, so you start.
You can. We probably always suggest start small and add up and sort of grow what you want to do with sentiment. Sentiment's a big thing. People are trying to look into understand. We've got real-time dashboards that we give access to. So, for example, if I went to tasks, set up tasks. So we have these dashboards so they can start looking at how sentiment's doing from a service level perspective, but you can also look at it from a customer perspective. You can say, okay, well, we understand now that these, it's very big for sort of water companies as well, because they get fined on it. So there's a thing called SIM. Have you come across SIM?
Yeah.
The service incentive mechanism. So they can get fined up to 10% of their revenue if their customers have complained and they've phoned in, then they've written. It can be quite high, so it can cost them hundreds of millions. And one well-known one locally to here got fined quite a lot recently because of that. The bottom of the SIM table is public knowledge. So again, from here you can start. You can also start adding some of those goals. So if there were particular people that are responding to, so it could be any sort of customer action or call to action, you can start adding and add points to that. So then you can actually start giving them rewards based upon their performance. If somebody's dealing with particularly difficult customers and you just want to set up a high touch care team for that, you can do that and then reward them and getting those overall customer interactions down. We call it sort of technical enforcement of the business process, because we time stamp and date stamp and everything. We can actually alert agents saying this guy's contacted. Not only is he contacted 5 times before, but also he's been waiting 4 hours. Your customer promise is 4 hours. We need to do something. You've got 5 minutes to do it. So all that sort of stuff, can be alerted from here. And likewise, you can build up points and then give them their rewards and all the rest of it. You can have inbox. So agent can talk to agent, starts saying, do you need some help? I can see your dashboard. If you want to, it depends how much you want to expose on some of those interactions and how people and teams are performing. Okay, let me go back to cross country again. So just very simply in here, I just did during the break, did a search to make sure it gets the data back. You can start doing different search on particular business item and things you want. It could be one word, it could be string, it could be a sentence. So now I just did a search on food. Anybody who's mentioning food with that train network in mind, these are all the tweets that are coming back. So I can now turn that into a widget. And so now they're following a widget called food. I can start setting up different user groups in here. This could now alert Rail Gourmet, if they'd outsourced to Rail Gourmet, anyone complaining about their sandwiches. So you can start setting things up and actually start getting your whole value chain to deliver customer experience. And again, it doesn't have to be just over, this does the exact same thing for SMS and all the rest of it. And likewise, you can send, we have all built-in reports and a PDF, and they can send around at a cyclic time, 10 o'clock, whatever you want to do. You can do it by orchestration, so if you hit certain categories or levels or thresholds, it will send a report out to managers, heads of, whatever you wanted to do. Right, obviously with these widgets, there's a widget library. You can categorize anything you want. So you can build, these are all completely configurable. So these categorizations, and again in here you've got business rules. You can start different, change different business rules. You can look at different priority ratings for different customers or different topics. You can have reminders and so forth, and you can have as many as you want. You can have just reports. I think if we go to home and go across here, you'll see there's some stuff on TripAdvisor, so I can add their TripAdvisor. So these are interactions directly from TripAdvisor. So likewise, they can see across all the different networks. I think they said that the huge saving. There are 2 people going through TripAdvisor and something else, just trying to pull the information out to act on. When obviously transportation companies are big on things like TripAdvisor and all the rest of it. So we pulled that out on FIFO, and it's taken a huge couple of people out that now are proactive, not reactive, just finding data. So it's called the task management. Obviously we went through, you can invite new access, you can have as many different brands as you want, or as many different handles. If I...
We need to wrap up in a minute.
Okay, I'm going over, aren't I? So
it's great technology, isn't it?
to show, I think to show how easy it is, if I just do this, is there anyone from Tesco in here that minds me doing this? Right, okay, so if I just go in, I have access to create a new app. This might throw out looks a bit slow. So I can go there and track keywords, I can do all these different things. New keyword, Tesco. There we go, it's in there. Create keyword. Okay, so now I need to create a new user. Retweets. Boom, Tesco. So that is done. If I went now into widgets, show widget library, you'll see it's now collecting information on Tesco. So it's very simple to use, we like to think. You can use it for any of those connections that are there. I could go in and quickly add a Facebook page. Add Facebook page. Well, they're not valid. Pretty sure it was a valid one. But in the interest of time, I will probably give up. Let's just try again.
Could you use this to monitor the business?
Yes. So, for example, the water companies do exactly that. They monitor. They're not really competitive because they're in a competitive environment. But we have dashboards of all the different competitors, how quickly they're responding to customer engagements across all the different channels. Obviously, the ones that are closed, they can't see how quickly they're responding to calls, but everything else we can actually do a way of responding to it. And you can be alerted via on different things happening with your competitors.
I have one more question. Some of the graphs that you were showing in relation to train company, they looked like they were very customer specific. Were they did you have to actually program and develop those apps to support it, or is that just like they're just standard things that someone else could use and just program in, I guess, the variables that they would want to be monitored?
So you can program a lot of the variables yourself. So for example, let's just hide that. You can go in and you can change
While you're doing that, Can you export to something like Crystal Reports or what's called BI? Is there a connectivity to your existing?
There is. Every single widget you see here has an API, so you can connect to anything you want from any single widget that you saw.
So you could build anything yourself if you know.
But also on here, I mean, we have got a defined BI top that is actually quite simple to do some of those things. So you can change, if you, there's a video I think on our website that shows you that you can do some quite complex reports and it shows you how to do it. You would probably need to be closer towards data and tech to do some of the really complex stuff, but you've got access to do that, or we can do it for you. You know, typically, you know, we're doing sort of 20 or 30 reports for Thames Water at the moment. It'll take a day and a half, something like that. So typically, you use us quite quickly to do it. We've got so many reports out there. It's a case of, you know, skinning something quite quickly to be able to achieve that. Jonathan, I'm around all day.
Yeah, so I think what we can do is we can deal with any further questions over lunch. We can carry on with the demonstrations if people want to see more, and clearly we can arrange follow-on meetings as well if anyone wants to dig more into the detail of the application. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.